What's up, fellas, lady fellas? Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today, I'm looking at a new card revealed for Rise of the Duelist. It's a really cool card, and a card that's definitely going under the radar. I haven't seen anybody talking about it, and I don't think it's crazy. I just want the record to show. I don't think this card is going to break the game by any means, but I do think it's a really cool card. I don't think people are talking about it, because I think they just read it, and they were like, alright, doesn't do much. But I do think it does help specific cards and decks in the game, so I did want to talk about it. And I do think it's really interesting that Konami went this way with a card like this. So, without further ado, let's look at Vespinit the Spin Breaker. Okay. Alright, so this is Vespinit the Spin Breaker. He's a rank 5 Earth Machine XYZ material. He is not a insect, just in case you were wondering. His stats are 25 and 2100, which is pretty cool. His XYZ materials are 2 level 5 monsters. Okay, so completely generic, but here's the kicker. Once per turn, you can also XYZ summon Vespinit the Spin Breaker by using one rank 4 monster you control as material. Cannot and also transfer its materials to this card. This card cannot be used as XYZ material the turn it is XYZ summoned, so you cannot just drop something on top of it with either, I guess, a rank up spell or another card that can just overlay on top of this. I guess does Infinity need this card? I guess that's the whole point. Cannot be used as XYZ material before this card is summoned. That's something I actually want to take a look at real quick. Hold on. Cyber Dragon Infinity. Because that makes this card much more interesting. No, it has to use Cyber Dragon Nova specifically. I wasn't sure if it used a machine in a certain way or if it had to be Nova, but yeah. Okay, so that does not work. But anyway, that's not important. The next stuff for him is that you can only use the second effect of this card once per turn. The first effect says, if this card attacks a defense mission monster, it does get piercing. So it's 25 with piercing, whatever. We've seen a ton of cards with piercing. It could come up in time, I don't know, just literally plop an XYZ on the field. Your opponent imperms it, they think they won, but then you just make this and poke for 500 damage, and you won. Fine. Second effect, if this card is XYZ summon, if this XYZ summon monster, in its owner's control is destroyed by an opponent's card. So the way this is worded, sometimes it's kind of ambiguous. I'm assuming this means by battle or by an effect, as long as it's by your opponent. You could target one level 5 or lower monster in your graveyard and special summon it. So it floats. I mean, that's a pretty good float. It's just a generic, just destroyed by your opponent, and it will get you back any level 5 or lower. It's a level 5, not XYZ, so keep that, or rank, so keep that in mind. But yeah, it's a nice little float. But here's the key, is that this is going to be used on any rank 4 monster. That's really what we're focusing on here, because I also took my time to go ahead and look at some, go through pretty much every rank 4. I did skim a little bit, so don't be too blown away if the options I put on here aren't too crazy, but yeah, I'm trying to center this so it looks right. Anyway, so the ones I came up with first up is Zoodiac. Zoodiac's the first thing that comes to mind. This deck can make rank 4s off of one monster, even a monster that's not even a legit engine card. You could just open Thoroughblade and not have another Zoodiac card in hand. You can at least now, whereas before it would have just been a Dryden, now it can be a Dryden plus this, because now you can just go Chaka-9, make an XYZ, normal summon, make an XYZ, then make Chaka-9, and if you could get a monster engraved, you could detach from Chaka-9 to special summon an XYZ back, and then you could just make this. It's not just one card, so going back, you do need to be able to put a Zoodiac engrave, which is important, but then you could reborn an XYZ and then just drop this on the new XYZ, then drop a Dryden on top of the Chaka-9. So you could end Dryden and this card, which I guess is not that bad. So it can make your boards a little more threatening, or instead of ending a Dryden and a not so important XYZ, you can end a Dryden and this, which is a floater. It is potentially a push for damage on the next turn, and it's a little more threatening. As well as just the fact that one of the problems in Zoodiac sometimes is just getting to a bigger monster. Sometimes you just can't assemble damage, but this now can just make any normal summonable monster in the archetype 2500 with piercing. And it floats. So that's not bad at all, in my opinion. I really don't think it's that bad. Another thing for them is Emerald, because now once you use Emerald, it doesn't really do much. So that's another aspect of this card that's really nice, is because there's like a bunch of XYZs where like you use their effect and then they're just kind of like sitting there. They're just kind of material. You're either going to link them off, just try and clear them because they don't do much after they do their thing. So Emerald's a classic one. You shuffle back your Dryden, you shuffle whatever other cards, and you draw 3, or you draw 1, sorry, and then you're like, wow, this Emerald kind of sucks on my board. So how about I drop a Vespinant and make him a 2500 beater that does piercing and can float? It's nice utility. I think this is a staple card in zoos. Then there's some other cards like certain removal cards / potential disruption cards this could come up with like Nightmare. He's only 950 attacks, so if you use him to disrupt your opponent, then on the follow back turn on your next like play, you may just like drop the Vespinant spin breaker on top of him, and then like now he uses disruption, he did his job to stop your opponent, and now you have a piercing 2500 monster that floats, so you can be a little more offensive. Not crazy, but like it could definitely come up. Then there's like removal stuff, so like Castell and Tornado, once you've like blown through their materials and don't have like any more removal for them, you're like, well, let's make it float. Let's make them float at least, so they're not just sitting here. Once they get cleared, they do nothing for me. Let me drop Vespinant on them so my opponent does have to worry about giving me a free float. Also not too shabby. Dugares kind of goes into the same realm as like Emerald, where like he does his thing, he gets you an additional normal summon, he gets you the draw 2, discard 1, he does whatever he does, but then he's just sitting there like a weak 1200 vanilla, right? So you need to clear him off, and this can just be a more efficient way than linking him off in some ways. That kind of goes the same thing with all these search cards. So like King of the Feral Imps, Gallic Granite, and Raid Raptor Fortrix, all kind of in the same realm of that thing as well. They all just get you their search, and then their stats, like he's 2000 booty, but like what if you want to be more offensive? Yeah, granted it's 2300, but it doesn't float, and it doesn't do piercing, and it's a little bit weaker, so why not, right? And then Feral Imps, again, another decent beat stick, but this one is straight up a vanilla. Like unless you can keep them alive until like your very next turn, you might as well make them a little bit bigger, deal piercing, and float as well. And then like for some of the Traptrix stuff, again, Rafflesia kind of fits more with Evil Swarm Nightmare. Like you may use her as a disruption, but one of the things that always annoys me with Rafflesia is Traptrix always have a problem with like the kickback, sometimes dealing damage. And so like if you summon this, stop your opponent, this thing has 300 attack, you're not switching this to attack mode. But you don't have to, because you can just drop this new guy on your board and be a little more offensive with him. He still floats. If your opponent does have to out him by destruction, he will get you back a Traptrix monster. Could be a Murmelio, that gets you a free pop. Could be a Dianash, she gets you another free trap hole. Like it could be a myriad of things. So I think that's pretty good in Arums as well, or Alomarus, whatever her actual name is going to end up being. Same kind of deal. She reborn something from grave, and then she's kind of useless on the field. So you might as well rank her up into something a little better. So this could also be something really good in something like Traptrix as well. So I don't know. Maybe I'm a little more excited about this card than other people will be, but I actually like it a lot. I'm definitely going to pick it up. And I think this is one of those cards where like nobody really pays attention to, but like randomly, like if people find out that Zoodiac's very good, or if people find out that like Traptrix is very, very good, like Traptrix may just play this card and people are like not ready for it when they drop it, and they're like, wow, that thing is really annoying because I want to out it, but I don't want to waste, I don't either have non-destruction removal for it, or I'd have to use my only non-destruction removal for it, and then like the rest of his like advantage is gonna like beat me, like stuff like that. So I think it will come up, and I do think it's a really cool card. But let me know your guys' thoughts down below. Am I a little too overzealous about this card? Am I going crazy about a card that will not see any kind of the light of day in the competitive scene, or will he have a chance to just be a cool, quick rank up on top of like regular rank 4s, any rank 4? That's what I'm looking for here. So let me know your guys' thoughts down below. As always, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more news updates, discussion videos, deck profiles in the future, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.